know somebody with a lot of talent and a lot of ideas and a lot of gifts and he or she is not using it? Are you a person with a lot of talent and a lot of gifts and you're not using it? Do you claim to be humble? Are people claiming to be humble who have these talent and gifts but they're not using it? Is that humility or is that pride? That's what we're going to talk about right now. A lot of people with talent and gifts, it could be you, it could be someone you know, but they play the humble card and they say, I don't want the attention, I don't want all the notoriety, I don't need a lot of money, I don't need a lot of fame. But think about it. Are you really truly being humble? Did God give you that talent and gift to hide it and bury it? Maybe, just maybe, it's pride. Maybe you're just filled with fear and you don't want to be on Front Street because you're afraid to fail. There's a difference between humility and fear and pride. There's a difference between being obedient and disobedient. So you have to identify which one you are, because if God gave it to you and you're not using it, you'd be actually being disobedient. Disobedient people are not humble. The humble person is an obedient person, because if God gave it to you, you're supposed to be using it. And humble people are obedient and they do what God tells them to do. If God gave you the ability to sing and you're not singing, you're being disobedient. You're not being humble. Maybe you don't want to step up and sing because you might be criticized, and that's fear. And fear is always pride-based because you don't want the criticism. So maybe you're afraid to fail and you're not being humble. So check yourself. And if you know somebody else like that, talk to them, encourage them, pray with them. Help them understand and identify what's really going on in their mind and in their heart. And if you have the ability, equip that person. Help them become courageous. Give them, if it's singing, give them singing lessons. Invest in them, encourage them. Help them sing in private. Watch them sing in private. Give them lessons. Connect them with another singer. And I'm just using singing as an example. It could be basketball. It could be football. It could be chess. It could be painting. It could be anything. Because we all have talent and gifts. God did not create any one person to do nothing. All of us have multiple gifts and talents. I'm a writer and a teacher naturally. I wasn't even taught these things. I was just born with it. I've been teaching and writing my whole life. I just didn't have the discipline to write books earlier in life. I didn't have the discipline and the obedience and the right situation and the right mentality to teach earlier in life, but it has always been there. And it's popped out off and on. Different situations I've been able to help people. I've tutored people. When I was in prison, I helped people write, I helped people read, I helped people understand their court documents. I helped a few of those guys do their release paperwork because I've always been a teacher and a reader and a writer. It's just who I am. And God always showed it to me. I just chose if and when I was going to use it because I was just a disobedient man myself. But what did God design you for? Singing, dancing, painting, clothing designs, poetry, artwork, production, editing. You go with computers, you go with photography. A friend of mine is a photographer. He just takes pictures all day and night, even if he's getting paid for it or not. That's his thing. He has a good eye. What did God design you for? Some people are good at organizing warehouses. Like I know a woman, she's good with babies. You can give her the most unruly baby. The baby could be sick with colic. As soon as she hugs that baby, the baby stops crying. That's a gift. Maybe God made her an angel. She just don't know it yet. But the worst children I've seen, as soon as she puts her hands on those children, they stop crying, they stop screaming. That's a gift. She worked at a daycare for years, and she worked with the worst children. Pain goes away. Find your gift and talent. If you don't know what it is, find it. If you do know what it is, you use it. Because a truly humble person is an obedient person, not a hiding person. Humble people don't hide their talent. Fearful people do. And fear is always pride-based because you don't want to fail in public. You would rather hide that talent than make a mistake with it. But we're not gods, we're humans. You are going to make a mistake. Everyone does. Every person you can think of has made a mistake using their gift and talent because that's who we are. And we're supposed to love each other and cover each other when we make these mistakes, not criticize each other. We're supposed to recognize you're not perfect, and that's okay. We shouldn't live in a society of humiliation. When someone makes a mistake, everybody laughs and dogs them out. That's wrong. So when your brother, your sister, your friend, your family, your parents, your children, whoever you're connected to, when they make a mistake, it's okay. And let them know it's okay. Because you're laughing at them today, they're going to be laughing at you tomorrow. Because God knows how to humiliate people. It always comes back. Just like the Bible said, the way you judge a person, you will be judged the same way. So be careful, all of us. Give people room, give them safety and security. Allow them to use their talent and gifts without the fear of humiliation. Because you don't want to be treated that way when you mess up. So just think for a minute. What talent and gift do you have that you're not using? What talent or gift do you see your brother, your sister with that they're not using? Encourage people to use that. Don't hide it. Don't be afraid to make that mistake. False humility is really pride. And just never be paralyzed by the fear of failure. Step out and make those mistakes. I always say the earlier the better. I tell every teenager I meet, start that business now. Make all your mistakes now while you're still living with your parents. By the time you finish high school, you'll know what you're doing. By the time you finish college, you'll be making a profit. Don't wait until after college to start the business because you're going to make those mistakes. Make them now while you're 15 instead of 25. Make all your mistakes now. You live with your parents. It's okay to be broke. Nobody expects anything from you anyway. You actually have an advantage if you start earlier because nobody expects anything. Your expectations are lower. My daughter started her business at 12, and she made her mistakes at 12. If she continues going and growing, by the time she's 21, she could be worth $500,000 because she made her mistakes at 12 instead of 21. And me and her mother were investing in it, not a bank. So you don't have that pressure. It doesn't affect your credit. Whatever God designed you to do, do it now. Make all your mistakes now. Your business, your music, your art, whatever it is, get the paintbrush, start painting now. Paint all your ugly pictures first. Nobody cares. But don't hide that talent and say, I'm just being humble and I'm waiting for God. No, God's waiting for you. There's several scriptures in the Bible where God's waiting for you to move. And as soon as you move, he's going to give you that jetpack. As soon as you start running 5 miles an hour, God's going to push you 50 miles an hour. But he can't push you till you start moving. You keep hiding your talent, you're just wasting it. And God can't even use you. And that's when the other negative emotions begin to set in. Because now you're jealous and envious of other people who are moving. Especially when you realize they're doing the same thing you have the ability to do. And I've mentioned this before. There was a time when I was a hater because I saw people doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I couldn't even understand why I was hating so bad. It's because I didn't do it, but I could have. The jealousy and the envy sets in when you hide your talent and gifts. And then there's also the shame and the guilt because God gave you that glory. He gave you that knowledge and he gave you that light and you didn't use it. So now your soul is sick because you're not moving the way you're supposed to be moving. Imagine going to heaven and seeing God and he shows you that you should have been a millionaire at 30. But you chose to sit in the house and play video games and drink and hate on other people for doing what you could have done. There's so many ways to be creative in this life. And it ain't always about the money. It's just about using your talent and gift. Everybody's not going to be a millionaire, but you can be happy. And you will never be happy if you don't use your talent and gifts. God never promised everybody $1 million, but he did promise you could live a fulfilling life and be a blessing to yourself and other people. Matthew chapter 5 talks about being happy. So you can be happy. You may not be a millionaire, but you will have a happy life. And everybody you come into contact with will love you. Because you put the pride down, you put the fear down. True humility is obedience, and obedience is using what God gave you. So if you're hiding your talent and gifts and claiming to be humble, you're lying. Obedient people are humble people. Humble people are obedient people. Obedient people forsake their pride and they move. And you will make mistakes. It's going to happen. But make them early. And make sure you're connected with people who love you. And they will cover for your mistakes. And they will encourage you to get back up. That's what a true friend does. A true friend doesn't stop you from falling. They pick you up after you fell. Because a true friend knows you need to fall to get stronger. Because they fell. A true friend will protect your back. But they're not going to stop you from falling because that's part of the game. So don't make the mistake of hiding your talent and gifts. And always remember, the obedient are the humble, and the humble are the obedient. The prideful hide. Do what God told you to do. Be obedient. Peace.